Hey, this is Tom Cavanaugh. Thanks for tuning in to Tomorrow's Legends.
In 2016, a new TV show hit the digital airwaves and needed a podcast dedicated to chronicling its adventures. An elite team has been assembled for this task. Unfortunately, the world's listeners have not heard of this Wonder Twin duo. And although they may not be known now, in the future they will be referred to as Tomorrow's Legends.
Hey, Harley. I'd sure like to show you how much I appreciate all you do around here.
Oh, yeah? Well, how about you come back to my room and show me real slow? Think you can handle that, Flash?
And now, here are your hosts, the fleet-footed Flash and his hammer-swinging partner, Harley Quinn.
Harley? Why are you sitting on my lap?
And why is your hand on my knee?
Let's get to the show.
Hello, Legends.
Hi, Gideon. And hello, Legendaires. Let's get into the show here. Welcome back to Tomorrow's Legends. We're here to cover Season 4, Episode 11, Séance and Sensibility. I am the embarrassed Flash.
And I'm not talking about it, Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I don't know what that stuff was. Holy, that must have gotten into the air vents or something.
Yeah, I know. It was weird. It was like you had these like yellow glowing eyes for a minute, and I don't know. I couldn't help myself.
Oh, yeah. No, something about those little jingly things that you have on the top of your head. They just, mesmerized me. All right, let's get into this crazy, wild show that we had this week. I'm looking at your rating, and boy, oh boy, not looking like you liked it.
No, I didn't. And guys, I'm going to pull the curtain back for a second. He has not put his rating in this document, so I still don't know how he feels about this episode. So I'm going to go ahead and give my rating. I gave this episode 6 flashbacks, pun intended, if you kind of catch where I'm going with that.
Uh-huh.
So just like the Flash musical episode, I loved it as a musical, or I guess the part of this episode that was a musical. But as with the Flash, as an episode of the Flash, I mean, Legends, it wasn't great. It didn't do a lot for me. So just hear me out.
Okay.
I felt like there was way too much going on in this episode. And to me, especially on the first watch, it felt really disjointed because I knew what was happening and what was coming on the second watch. It went together a little bit more. But after the first watch, I was like, this really just feels all over the place. I mean, I definitely, as I said, I love the Bollywood musical number and the final scenes like with Nate and Constantine. Easily the best parts of the episode for me. Loved those parts because we got a little bit of mystery, a little bit of intrigue, and I'm a sucker for musicals. I just am. I love them. So then, I mean, okay. I appreciate it. I appreciate what they're trying to do with Zari's character, but this whole thing felt flat for me, and we are so going to dig into that once we get into our discussion. But the whole thing, I didn't care at all for really like that whole like Mona Wolfie storyline. I mean, I liked Mona as Mona for the most part, but then when she turned into Wolfie and there was that whole confrontation with Jane Austen, I hated everything about that. Just really didn't like it. Yeah, I know. I feel very negative at the moment, but this is how I feel.
But yeah,
I know. I gotta get off my chest. I will say that I was not expecting Ramona, who plays Mona. Her name is actually Ramona.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I loved her singing. I loved Tala singing. Like, I thought that was fantastic. Their voices were beautiful. We can find a copy of that song online for free. Haven't downloaded it yet, but I'm super excited about it.
Oh, we'll have to share that link if you have it.
Yes, I will find the link. I shared it on Twitter, but I will find the link and I will put it in our blog post for sure. Okay, so Ray and Nora. Their entire storyline, this is the disjointed part. It felt completely out of place in this episode. Like, I loved it. I loved the two of them together. I loved their chemistry. I loved everything about them. It just kept taking me out of this episode whenever they would cut to them. And I think it was just a little too much. So I don't know if our show is struggling to embrace Constantine or just struggling to find its new identity, but whatever it's doing, it's definitely a different show. And I really, really, really felt like it was noticeable in this episode. And that was really long. I never talk this much on my initial impression.
No. Never mind gold love dust. I think we switched places somehow. You sound a lot like me when an episode comes along that I don't like.
I know. I was thinking that. I was like, I'm writing this and I am channeling my best Flash.
Wow. Best angry Flash.
I am channeling the reverse Flash. However you want to look at that. I'm actually being Harley Quinn. Ha, I win.
Yeah, that's unusual. Yeah.
I know. Okay, so I'm dying to know, what did you rate this episode? What did you think of it? Because I don't have a thing to know what you think.
Well, here it comes. Okay, Harley.
What?
I think there is something that we need to be concerned with this season. We are at very different ends of the spectrum because I give this episode a 9 out of 10. I absolutely loved it.
Oh my God.
As the roof caves in because the sky just fell on the Legends world. Yes, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Okay, you get to be the shining ray of hope or light or whatever it is that I pretend to be most weeks.
This is what I mean. We have switched places somehow. I don't know what's going on. But this episode was so much fun. I have not felt this entertained in a long while with our show. From start to finish, me and Patty were just giggling our butts off, giggling away and sharing the sheer enjoyment of it. So if she sends in feedback, and I think she did, it'll be curious to see what she has to say, because I have no idea. I thought the humor was spot on. It was well written, organic, and natural flowing, just leading to funny moments within the scenes. It was risque at times, definitely not a kid's episode, and that makes me happy. Making the lustful play and skin exposure a surprise, but not unwelcomed. It flowed so smoothly from sequence to sequence, like they managed to squish a full Disney movie into 42 minutes of an episode.
I totally disagree.
Well, this is going to be fun. Even the Mona bits. I know on Facebook you were all thinking that I'd hate it because of her, but they actually weren't annoying this time. They gave her some depth to play with. She's a hopeless romantic, and her favorite author was changing her stories due to the preemptive sexual revolution happening from the love god being there, so she had reason to be upset. That's her nerd thing, that's her passionate interest, and it was changing, so I could actually relate to that angle they were giving her. Now sure, there are a few questionable things going on, like the wrongly placed different ethnic backgrounds being in this time period that aren't slaves as they would have been back then, which I saw complaints about online and including on her Facebook page, as well as complaints about the rise of sexual freedoms and choices. But I'm going to argue right now and get this out of the way. That's because of the love god spreading his dust and awakening people's pleasures earlier in history than it happens. That is what this season is about. Magical creatures being out of place in wrong time periods, messing history up as it was. So this made sense to me. And like you said,
I totally agree with that point, for the record.
Okay, good.
Totally agree with that point.
Like you were saying, that Bollywood crossed with Disney style musical number at the end was some of our cast singing was absolutely fantastic. I also love a good musical. There's a little inside info about your Flash here. It has to be a good musical because I love it to have story and heart, not just singing just for the heck of singing like most Disney animated movies are these days. Has to have story and heart. And I even watch the odd Bollywood flick from time to time. Slumdog Millionaire. I know it's not truly a Bollywood movie. It's kind of an Americanized Bollywood movie, but it is a top fave of mine as an example. Man, can our Zari sing. Even Ray and Nora sang. And I thought that was great. This is worth watching again for me just because it made me so happy by the end of it. It was pure fun and entertainment. And like I said, me and Patty were just smiling all the way through. How's that for a shocker?
I lost the bet, and I am not the only one.
Nobody bet for me on that one.
I should have known if I hated it. You would love it. I should have known.
I don't know what's going on. We are very polar opposites with a lot of the episodes this season.
We are. So let's dig into it, and we can figure out why I hated it and why you loved it.
Yeah. Well, now it's my turn to try and bring you up a little bit like you often do to me. So
That's true. That's true.
All right. Well, where are we going to start off?
All right. Well, let's start at the beginning, or some of the beginning.
Sure.
Let's knock out a good bit of Hank's funeral. I think I've saved the end scenes for the end of our discussion, as I tend to do when we can get some good theorizing going. But since we started with Hank's funeral, now I tried the most to focus on some of the positive things I found about it, and then as I was doing my second watch, I did write out some notes about where I was like disappointed or whatever. So to begin with, on a positive note, I think these scenes were definitely some of the best for me. Anything involving Nate and anything involving Constantine or the setting of the funeral, I actually thought were some of the best scenes aside from the musical number itself. And I feel like that's a bad sign when your best scenes revolve around a funeral. I'm just saying, but I don't know. Did you, and what did you feel about the funeral scenes?
Well, it was funny when I saw your comments on the Facebook page and the way you were responding to a couple of things. I was wondering, man, when she is negative about an episode, how is she going to write decent notes for us to go through a show on? Because if she's mad, she's not going to really care to come up with anything decent to talk about. So I was waiting to see what you had here. For the Hank funeral, the first thing I thought of is it tosses out any theories that he might not be dead. Because I brought that up last week. I was wondering, he might not be dead. They would Nora save him or something's going to come back? But here he is. He's dead. They have a funeral. And that kind of surprised me that he actually is gone. And that it plays into what we've been talking about with how the writers changed his story to make him a good guy. Because I wasn't expecting that they would kill him off here. So that really, and we'll talk, there's more points I have later revolving around this part about it. But it really sunk it in like, wow, okay, they took a left turn big time. And I guess wanted to write him out as a good guy, like on a high note with what they did.
I guess. And I agree. Like, I think maybe that was part of my disappointment with this episode, is because, especially at the end with Constantine, I mean, Hank is dead. He lets his spirit pass on and kind of facilitates that. So, I mean, he is gone. And I was really, really disappointed in that. I mean, it makes for a powerful moment for Nate, and we'll talk about him later, but it'll be interesting, I guess, to see how he continues on and how this kind of impacts him. But I agree. The writers, we know they changed him to make him a good guy. And I think that was very evident by some of the closing scenes about his top secret project. Yeah. Well, anyway, but yeah, I was surprised that he was dead, especially since it was called Séance and Sensibility. I was kind of expecting a twist. He would come back to life. I don't know. I think I was disappointed by that too.
But no, I am with you on that scene as well, though. Like, it was a nice scene. There was some nice stuff there. It was good for Nate to be able to work through some of those emotions, and it allowed him to, because he was really, really pissed off at his dad, and even just hearing the story that his mom shares was kind of a touching moment. But you could see it in his face. He wasn't wanting to buy into what she was saying just yet, and it took till the very end of the episode for him to get there. So within the story, within the episode itself, it was a good little arc for him to have to work through some of these inner demons, I guess you could call them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I did particularly love the mother's speech. I thought it was very touching. So I liked that part a lot.
Yeah.
speaking of things I liked a lot, the very, very beginning of the episode with the legends just being super awkward at the funeral were definitely laugh out loud funny. And Ray kissing Nate goodbye was priceless. Like, I wish I could have picked that as quote of the week because it was by far the funniest thing that happened throughout that entire episode, but there were no words. So
no, but oh my God, if I could have funny scenes of the week instead of serious scenes of the week, that one would win this season. Scene of the week, because everyone's just giving him the polite, pleasant kind of half kiss on the cheeks, and then he just full on kisses him. And even Nate's reaction looked at him like, "Did you just? You did, but that's okay." You read all of that in his facial expression, and it was so good. And the other point about this funeral I wanted to point out is that our whole team looked absolutely fabulous. I know it's a funeral. They're at a funeral, but my God, the makeup department and the hairstylist did such a good job. Every single one of our actors, male and female, looked absolutely gorgeous.
They did.
And then I had to laugh at, there's John still in his darn trench coat. Like, this guy needs a uniform. New set of clothes. I know, they're treating his trench coat, shirt, and tie like it's his superhero costume, and he's not a superhero. Like, just let's see him dress up once in a while, like our legends often do. That's all.
Did you notice he had a black tie on at least?
And it looks like he got a haircut. His hair's a little shorter and a little bit neater. I noticed that too. But
yeah, he's looking a little bit more put together this half of the season.
A little more clean, yeah. So, but yeah, no, everyone looked absolutely stunning, and it's great.
All right. Well, because I don't know where else to put this, and it may come back in later. I can't remember exactly what I did. I want to talk about Ray and Nora for a second, because as much as these scenes felt completely out of place, and to me, what broke up the episode, they were hysterical. Like, I loved the two of them, and like the sexual tension that they had throughout the entire episode. Oh my gosh. Like, I get that they're married in real life, but how do you like play, like when it's actually your wife? Like, could you imagine just that being like making it like that believably awkward? Like, oh man, it was so funny to watch the two of them do that.
I absolutely love these scenes as well. I mean, she was so obviously flirting with him, and he just wasn't picking up on it, and being so uncomfortable once he did start to get what she was getting at. Ray is so good at playing that, and it's doubly funny, like you said, knowing that they are together in real life. They must have such a good laugh after those scenes are done, because she's being all sultry and flirty, and he's acting like such a goof. It must be so hard for her to contain laughing at her husband being such a goof, because it.
I'd like to know how much of each of them comes across in those scenes.
Yeah. Oh, totally. But I don't know why. I don't know where you feel it was out of place. I felt it fit in, because they have to bring her back in somehow. She disappeared last episode, and the only one that she knows she can reach out to for possible help is Ray. So it kind of makes sense. And that the fact that they're at the funeral, and the few creepy parts that were in here with all the mirrors being covered up, and there's some grumbling and some vibrations, and Constantine misinterpreted it as demons coming through, or somebody wanting to come through, so they've blocked all the mirrors because that's their windows or their entry points, and it was just her all the time trying to get Ray's attention. And so to me, it worked. It suited the scenario they were in as a way for her to get to Ray, just using her magic, because she is magical. And I don't know, I liked it, and it led into the funny scenes where Ray didn't want to be part of the mission. He didn't want, as we have coming up, when he wanted to just stay on the ship and be private with her, even though he was not sure how to do that.
Stay on the ship and be weird.
Yeah.
Like, is he weirder than normal? Yes, he is. Yes. Yeah. No, I didn't have a problem with like the storyline at all. I didn't have a problem with, like you said, like the mirrors, and then it turned out that it was her, and that scene in the bathroom was so funny. Yes. I really kind of wanted to pick that as like quote of the week, but it wasn't really, really funny. Did I pick it as quote of the week?
No, you didn't. Well, you
Okay.
left it because you were actually asking me if I had one, but I left the one in that you had there because that was the one I was going to use. But when I edited the quotes, the ones you had were good enough, and I thought put in a bonus one, but no, we've cut it down to 3 to save on
Cut
time.
it down to 3.
But that is a funny scene when it's because he's trying to be all stern with her, no, that's it. Last time I trust you again. I'm never listening to you again. And she goes, but Ray, I didn't kill him. Oh, well, that's good then. I can come help you. Like, he just instantly switches.
I know. She's like, it was the demon. He's like, that's great news.
Yeah.
You're like, is it, buddy? Is it? Anyway, but I loved those scenes and I loved them together. That wasn't the problem. It's just, I felt like that was what, for me, was the tipping point between just too much going on in this episode. I don't know. It felt disjointed to me.
Okay.
I don't know.
You were in a weird mood watching this episode. I guess something threw you off, eh?
Yeah. Well, it was just falling flat the whole first 30 minutes. I was just sitting here like, okay, when are we going to get to singing and dancing? Like, this is boring. There's no creepy Constantine stuff. And I don't know, it felt filler. It really did. And maybe this is part of it because of the name. I really wanted the Séance to play a bigger role. They were at a funeral. I guess I wanted creepy, not goofy. Like, I don't know. It was too much on the goofy side. I mean, I love Nate's journey throughout the whole episode. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit, and I thought that Nick's performance was fantastic. Like, I loved everything he was doing with the character. And, that's, I think, why the funeral scenes were some of my favorite, like, throughout the entire episode, for sure. I mean, he sold it well. It was just, I don't know, he did a really good job with it, and I felt it was very believable and heartfelt. But I don't know. I wanted more creepy, I guess.
So this is interesting. I'm wondering how much of it comes into play depending on the mood we're in when we sit down to watch, or along with that, is this kind of starting to shine a light on our different senses of humor and what we do find funny? Because
probably.
Yeah, because for me, like I said, I was giggling all the way through. It was just such joy. To me, this was not stupid humor. This wasn't forced humor and really trying hard to be funny. It just flowed so nicely and everything connected seamlessly. Like the scenes and the jokes they were playing, it wasn't like, we got to write a joke here and force something funny. It just went with the scene and it was naturally funny to me. But, there's more scenes coming up that we'll get into about some of the funny stuff. As for your stuff about Nate and Constantine here, I mean, I thought it fit in just enough, the seance stuff that they had here, or the creepy stuff, because, I mean, John doesn't really work with this team like we've talked about before. He doesn't quite fit in, but I thought here it was just enough. They worked in a small enough piece for him to have something to do, and that it made sense. I mean, they're at a funeral. The spirit of Hank isn't ready to move on without finishing something first. And it's Hank needing to get Nate a message. So that's what he needs to finish off, because he knows Nate doesn't believe or have faith in him. And for me, it did have just enough of a creepy edge to it, because funerals can be a bit macabre, especially with an open casket funeral. I've always found that odd. I don't know if I'd ever want to see someone, especially a family or friend, laying there dead. I don't know if I could handle that. So I've always found that kind of creepy and weird. So I hate it. What's that?
Coming from someone who has experienced that, it is, and I hate it. It sucks.
Yeah, so I thought this was enough, because there's enough creepiness around that whole thing with the rumbling of the mirrors and the Constantine picking up on something. I liked how they found him something in this episode that suited him, because he wouldn't have been good in the musical. He wouldn't have been good trying to console Nate too much and be all emotional, because he's not like that. So the fact that they gave him something to do at a funeral that suited his background, I thought was just enough to fit him into this episode. And that, I appreciated that. They didn't force a full John Constantine, this is all about demons and stuff, and he's going to take over the episode like he did in the first half every week. So
yeah, well, maybe it's because I'm catching up on Constantine. I wanted more of him. In this episode, I felt like this, of all episodes, this particular episode was tailor-made for John Constantine, and he had such a small part. Now, the bits we got were good. I loved it. Not a problem. Yeah. I was wanting more of that and less of the weird Jane Austen stuff we got.
Okay. No, I get you.
So
I think I'm coming at it from as much as I enjoyed John on his own show, I still wholeheartedly believe he doesn't belong on Legends. He doesn't fit in here. So the fact that I just give him a little bit was enough. And it didn't deter from our show and our team. So
yeah, he's definitely not fitting in, which I hate to say because I love the actor and I love that character, but he definitely needs his own show to kind of do that character justice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's nice to like keep him alive and the character and like in the universe and such, but I don't know.
Yeah. With what you were saying about Nate, I do agree with you there as well, because we're getting good Nate story now. And like I was kind of saying already, this one episode was kind of a small arc for him to go through and finish. And I felt by the end of it, it kind of gives him purpose now for the rest of the season, because now he has to go on and figure out what's been going on with his dad and figure out, the link between his dad and Neuron. So now it gives Nate a purpose, because we were concerned about him being sidelined at the Bureau. Now he's got something to do, and he's got, like I said, I keep using the word purpose, but that's what he has to take him through the end of the season. So, yeah,
he definitely needed something, and I am not necessarily convinced that Hank had to die to give him that something, but here we are.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no, true there. I mean, I would love to have had Hank all the way through and ultimately wish he was the bad guy. With a chance of redemption by the end of it, I would like to have seen a season-long evil Hank. Yeah,
I think I would have too. I mean, I like that they tried to redeem him, but I felt like he could have been a villain for like the first half, and then we could have redeemed him in the second half. So I don't know. It kind of feels like he was the fake villain in the first half, and then they had to redeem him real quick and get him out of the way so that Neuron can come in and do whatever he's going to do.
That's the rewrites, exactly. Which is the unfortunate weak part of the season. This is where we're finding our weak joints, and it's barely hanging on.
Yeah, I agree.
Overall story-wise, like overall season plot-wise, anyway. So.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Cool. All right, what's next?
All right, let's jump into Pride, Prejudice, and Werewolves.
Okay. Let me point something out here before you go on, because I found this extremely exciting for me. I have an actual friend in this episode.
Oh, that's so cool.
The girl that's playing Cassandra, she was the one sitting in front of them in the church, chatting to her friend, and then later introducing them to Jane when they first met her.
Oh, is she supposed to be her sister?
I'm not sure. I don't know what the connection was to Jane, but she was the one that said, these people are here to see you, whatever. And like I said, she was sitting in front of the church. So that is actually my friend. Her name's Victoria Suter. I've actually worked with her a few times in my own short movies. She's an actress, and she played a big bruising bad guy for me in a short film that I did, where she was like the leader of the bad guys. She was like the main villain, I guess you could say, in my short film. So I will dig out a screenshot of her and add that to our blog post so everybody can see. But it was just so cool, because at that moment I recognized her instantly because the camera pans across the screen as she's talking to her friend, and I immediately paused and said, "Oh my God, that's Victoria!" And then I remembered she had just moved to Vancouver, where all of these shows are filmed, and she went there to further her career, because Calgary's actually a pretty kind of dead area for being an actor. There's not a lot going on here, so I guess she succeeded. She landed a role on Legends. That's pretty darn cool. So I have to contact her. That is
very cool. Yeah, for sure. You totally should. Yeah. Should see if she wants to come and do like a short little interview or a recap or something about her time on Legends. That would be cool.
That's a fantastic idea. Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool. Okay, I will contact her. Yeah. Awesome idea.
We could do a fun like little bonus episode or something.
Yeah. Just she can just tell us about her time on the show and what that was like and how it was meeting the cast and all that stuff.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Sounds great. All right. What you got?
All right. All right, guys. I'm going to put my negative pants back on here. I didn't like it. Like, I did not like this at all. This is the wedding. It did nothing for me. It just had that like way beyond like goofy feel that for me just felt like too much. Like I didn't find it funny. Like, and it didn't feel like Legends to me, like at all. Like the wedding makeout session, I was like, what? Okay, like, why is this happening? I don't know. I actually was feeling all right on the episode, and then this all happened, and then some other things happened that we'll get into, and it just kind of derailed it for me a little bit there.
That's funny. Yeah, I wonder. Like, I wonder if you went back and watched it again, because I
watched it twice.
Did you? Okay,
I did,
and it still didn't get you the second time. Like, you didn't laugh at all, because I thought that scene was hilarious, because to me, an all-out church menagerie of lust happening in a time when they wore clothes up to their necks and have everything so private and dull and mundane, that this was full-on releasing of inner desires, all thanks to a love god being out of his time period. I thought it was perfect, because they're taking the idea of church and turning it on its head with what would be considered straight to hell damning actions back then. So I thought the contrast of that was hilarious, that this is all happening in church. That cracked me right up.
I mean, I appreciate that. I don't know. I didn't find it funny. Even like Charlie's little quip, she's like, now this is a wedding. And I was like, oh, God. Well, I don't know. I mean, I agree with like all the points that you're making. It just wasn't funny to me. Like, Charlie's does that make sense?
I do not like the actress.
Well, yeah.
I don't think I don't like her take on humor, or the way, I don't like her delivery, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, her little lines that she had, I didn't laugh at, but it's the scene, the scenario, thought was priceless. It's just so contrasting.
I don't know. It is, but I don't know. I was just very meh on it.
The way I looked at it is, if you, like I said, you look at the time period, everybody's so stuffy. And I'm picturing them like that all of a sudden they have these freedoms and they're ripping off their clothes and like, oh my God, I can finally express what I've been feeling. Because people are people. I'm sure hundreds of years ago, they still had lustful desires. People thought things that they weren't supposed to. It's just society kept everybody contained. I mean, it's just, that's to me, it was just like this freeing thing for them. And it happened. It happened. The sexual revolution of the 60s and 70s. It still happened. It's just now it's happening earlier because of the love god being there. So I don't know. I like this situation. Pretty funny.
Well, I'm glad someone did. All right. So for me, I had a little shining ray of light here. Before they actually go on this mission, Zari, and I thought this was so funny, mentions the Bechdel test. Do you remember or recall what that is before I continue?
Yeah, it's ringing a bell. I can't remember where it came up before. That's what I was having trouble remembering, but I'll let you explain it here again. Okay. Go, and you could bring in a little bit about the writers getting meta here, because I know there's a few people that still don't quite get that. We were talking about that off air here, so explain that with that, and then just let us know what this point was that you enjoyed.
All right, so the Bechdel test is essentially a measure of how of how women in particular are represented in fiction. And so basically it asks the question of whether like a particular scene or a particular episode or show, or however you want to look at that, if it features at least two women who talk to each other and it's about something other than a man.
Okay. Yes.
So what Zari says is, she's like, we're so failing the Bechdel test right now. And then Sarah's like, it's okay. We can talk about guys every once in a while. Like, it was really funny. Yes. I love it when the writers get like so meta that they're like making fun of themselves, and they're just kind of like acknowledging what they're doing like within their writing. I think it's so funny.
And that's what Legends does better than any other DC show.
Yes.
Is being meta and making fun of themselves. And I enjoy it when they nail it bang on with things like that.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So much so. And I might have a note in here about this later, but in case I don't, there is a point at some point in this episode where Zari like legit breaks the fourth wall. Mm-hmm. It was so great.
Later, yeah.
All right. Well, we can talk about that part later, but that was one of my shining ray of light. Shining ray of light? Can't speak. in this part of the episode?
Well, it makes sense because Ray seems to also have been your favorite part. So,
Yes.
there's you being meta all on yourself.
And I didn't even know it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, maybe I'm a poet. Anyway, so we're going to get into, I think, where I started to have some issues with this episode. And maybe this is a comment more on my personal life and history than I would care for it to be. But first of all, Charlie and Sarah, literally the two worst people to give love advice. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'll give you that for sure.
Who would listen to them? Crazy. But then all the teasing with Zari, it was just getting really old. She's falling for Nate. We get it. Just kind of let it develop. I was okay when it was kind of just being slow and it was this slow burn, and now it's not. And they're kind of pushing the whole storyline in our face, and I don't like that. I wanted it to just we talked about this. We wanted it to be in the background and a slow burn. We've never seen Zari have a love interest. Yes, I understand. That's the point of this episode, that she's closed off because of where she comes from and loving is a liability and whatever. So she's got to overcome all of that. And then her and Nate can get together. I just really, really didn't like the way they went about it. And it was so childish. You talk about childish humor all the time. This was literally the most childish thing they have ever done on this show. They felt like 12-year-old schoolgirls. Oh my God. Maybe I'm just having PTSD. I don't know. I am getting mad thinking about this all over again.
You should see how red her face is, Legendaires.
I'm also really warm.
I think you're definitely pulling on something, because this is wow, it's crazy. Yeah, I have not seen you react to something like this before, so there is definitely something you are pulling on. And that's okay. I mean, I've related to things like this before too. So I just thinking, wow, because here I am giggling the whole way through. I thought it was just plain fun getting to the team and letting them have some fun. Zari is so stiff and rigid, and they get to play with her. It was good, honest teasing that happens amongst adults all the time like that. So I understand you seeing as a 12-year-old thing, and maybe that's where you're pulling from. I don't know. I see adults acting like this all the time when, there's a new love interest or whatever. I like seeing the girls come together and just get to be themselves and enjoy themselves a little bit. It was good character bonding, I thought, because our team doesn't seem to get a lot of time to do that very often. And it also helped loosen Zari up a bit because she is very rigid and stiff. Now, I agreed with you. They're not the best advice givers coming from their backgrounds, for sure. I mean, they should be advising on how to loosen up and have fun, maybe not on how to have a relationship. Although Sarah, with Ava, she hasn't been too bad. She's done all right there. Mm-hmm. So I agree. But to me, that's what made it funny. And I didn't take this as a forcing Zari and Nate thing, because we already know what they're up to. We know what they're doing, and we see it coming. So I agree with you there. But nothing actually happened yet between them. There was just some more will they, won't they tension. I mean, they didn't even kiss. They got close. It was about to happen. And then Zari pushed away again. So to me, it's not speeding along yet. It is developing. And I actually liked the uncomfortable tension that they showed. It was believable, which is what we never got with Maya. Nothing ever worked properly there. I just thought this feels more natural, and it's happening at the right pace so far to me, because this just took it a little bit farther than it was last episode. Nothing really happened yet. I know the girls were teasing her and they're kind of pushing her into it, but still nothing really happened. They just kind of expressed a little bit more that there might be a spark there, but then they backed off again. You're shaking your head at me.
I am shaking my head at you. I'm trying to formulate my thoughts into words. But
instead of rage.
Yes, and I was, again, I'm trying to scan ahead in my notes because I swear I remember writing a good bit of what I'm about to say, but the whole point of the episode is that they wanted Zari to open up and break down her walls and surrender to love and la 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 la. Like, that's not her character. Oh, just cut that part out.
Yeah,
I'll re-say that without the cuss word.
We have a clean episode.
We do. I'll re-say that without the cuss word.
4340. I'm putting Harley swears. I'm trying to find. Yeah, I do recognize what you're saying. It's in your notes here somewhere, and I respond to it. I just can't see it.
I know. Let's just move on for the moment. After I'm clearly having a very emotional reaction to this episode. So, other things I didn't like about this episode while I'm on a tear. I think this is really like most of the stuff that brought it down was just the whole like. It wasn't, I don't know. A lot of stuff brought it down, but everything with Wolfie down to her name. Come on. Really? What?
Yeah.
Oh God, literally cringing. I was like, oh no. And so when Mona, I don't know, when she turns into her, I was fine with her, with Mona just being Mona. I was a little bit better with Mona just being Mona on the second watch. On the first watch, I was just kind of like, this is boring and I don't care. This feels like filler. Let's move on. But then she has the whole fight with Z and she turns into Wolfie and confronts Jane Austen. I was like, no, I'm done with this.
Yeah, I saw what you guys were saying. You thinking I probably hate it because of Mona. Now, at this point, I was already having so much fun with the episode and with everything else that this didn't bother me really at all. I mean, I agree on one thing for sure. The wolf part, I'm kind of done with. Unless they're making her a new character and that's her superpower to help the team, she'll be like She-Hulk, turning into the wolf whenever they need her strength or something like that. But I don't want that because I think it's unnecessary. We have Steel, and we need Steel back. We don't need her. So I'm with you there. It's just this part, her part in this story here didn't bother me. I was okay with it, and like I had explained earlier, I understood. I could relate to her. She's very passionate about her romantic stories, and losing all of that was something that she was connected with and something I can understand. So I get it. And that's probably why it didn't bother me so much. Mm. But I had said this before. I mean, you and me are definitely on opposing sides this second half of the season, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
I'm asking here, what's got you so down on this episode more than usual? And I guess we're sort of picking out little bits here all over the place. But what I'm sensing is this episode, this very one, is your Western episodes.
Yes.
Because you know how much I hated the Western ones. This is yours. This is your counter to that.
I think so. Yeah. There have been very few that I've rated this low. I should probably go back and look at all of our ratings. That would be an interesting experiment.
Actually, put it together on like an Excel sheet. That'd be neat to see. All of our ratings over the seasons.
That's what I should do. That would be funny. Yeah. Okay. That'll be my new little pet project. I'll start working on that.
Now, the one scene, though, that I thought actually was kind of neat was when the record player starts playing backwards with that evil demonic voice and then flings the record at the door, basically at the back of Nate's head. That part was pretty creepy.
That was pretty great. I really did like that part. I thought it was fantastic. Like, as soon as the record started playing backward, I was like, ooh, oh yeah, that's totally creepy. And then it like flies after him and shatters on the floor. I did like that a lot.
Yeah. And what I liked about it too is that nothing seems to get to Mick. We know he's scared of clowns. We don't know what else he's scared of, but he's just looking at the record and he's still eating. He's like, oh, that's interesting. And he just kind of avoids the record flying by him. But nothing seems to get to him. It's just, it was funny. I loved the way he kind of looked at it like, oh, cool.
Yeah. He's like, well, that just happened. Oh, Mick. I wish we had had more of him this episode, but
yes.
Oh, well.
All right. Well, moving on to, let's move into that Bollywood sequence. I know you got a couple of things here.
I do. Okay. So I guess we should start with what I hated. I don't know. I didn't enjoy the magical fugitive at all. I started to get into the why a little bit, and it just didn't do it for me. I didn't like that they revolved Zari's character completely around a love, sort of a love interest, but not really a love interest, and a romance storyline really, really didn't do it for me. Now, he was very easy on the eyes. He was a very good-looking man. But
you didn't need any gold dust, did you?
but I didn't care for the storyline. So I know you did. So why did you like it?
I loved it. I loved the story because I thought it counters everything in that society of the time, which I kind of brought up already.
It does. I agree with you. I do.
And I mean, the feeling I was getting a very strong Aladdin vibe, where the princess was very stuck up and kept to her quarters, and Aladdin came in all loose and free and wanted to teach her about fun. This very much seemed like he was Aladdin and she was the princess in that sense. And I just thought it was so much fun to watch him and Zari come together, as I was saying, in a very Disney story way. And I thought he was a great performer, really good actor from the different things he got to do. It was fun. And I'm thinking, I should have looked up before the episode, but I'm thinking he's a big-time Bollywood actor that they nabbed for this episode.
Maybe.
Making it fun. And we'll have to look that up to see what his background is, because I don't know if you know a lot about Bollywood, but it is huge. It is bigger than Hollywood by far. I know we don't see a lot of them over here. We do have, like over here in North America, but we do have here in Calgary, we've got one theater in the area of the city where there is a heavy population of Indian and Middle Eastern people. So there's one theater that brings in all of the Bollywood movies every week. There's 2 or 3 of them being released right alongside all of our movies. But Bollywood itself, they probably make triple the amount of movies every year that Hollywood does. It's massive, a massive industry over there. So that's why I'm thinking that the fact that they brought this guy in, he's got to be somebody for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, I liked his acting and I thought his performance was great. I just didn't care for the story.
Right. Well,
I had no issues with him at all.
Especially
you can come back.
Your next point here.
So Zari's specific comment when she broke the fourth wall was very, very funny. And she looks at the camera and goes, "This is definitely a dream." But man, lucky girl.
That scene, I mean, wow.
Ooh, that was steamy.
It was very steamy. At that moment was just so priceless. Like you say, break the fourth wall. It was priceless. I wish I was doing funny scenes because I would have used that one as well. But I mean, this whole episode, holy cow, it was damn sexy. It was damn steamy. And a threesome? Like, not for kids this episode. This was definitely an adults-only Legends episode, which I said I love that. And that's just, I mean, that threesome with her, Nate, and this love god, that's letting your inner desires out. Holy cow, Zari. The whole sequence of love was tons of fun between Ray and Nora, like we spoke about. Just that scene with him getting the golden powder and then standing at the foot of the bed going, "Would you like me to join you in bed?" And Nora's just like, yes, I did. I do. I loved it. It made me laugh so hard. And I haven't laughed this much at our show in a long, long time. I think the last time I enjoyed something so much that made me laugh was when Mick did the intro, which was our season-winning quote 2 seasons ago. That's how much I enjoyed this episode. I laughed so much, and yeah, it was so much fun. So that whole sequence was great for sure. I mean, the parts with the girls in bed, they're all sleeping in their own beds, having their own dreams. Whatever. It was a little bit, that wasn't really what I was laughing at, but the Ray and Nora for sure, and Zari having a threesome dream. Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah. Although I will say their use of the word smash was interesting.
I've never heard that word used in a
neither have
way, but I mean,
I haven't either.
That's very animalistic, I guess you could say.
I guess. I don't know. I guess they needed a different euphemism, but I was like, oh God, if they say smash one more time, I'm going to choke someone.
But it did come from Charlie, and she's British, so maybe that's a thing over there.
Well, that's true.
She could have said shag.
Along with what? Okay, I did find this funny. The scene where she catches Ray coming out of his bedroom all awkward, and the phrase that she uses, he's like, "What?" And I'm like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and he tried to cover up, but she knew better.
But that's not what he was doing. So funny. Anyway.
Yeah.
That part was really funny.
So it was just such a good scene. I think that because he was already being so sheepish and trying to sleep in the chair, and the fact that he falls asleep within seconds and she just looks at him like, oh my God, this guy just doesn't get it. And then, she wakes up to him standing at the foot of the bed, half naked, and complete switch, and totally took her, broke her guard down and took her by surprise. It's such a good scene. I wish I could use that somehow, but it's...
I know there were a lot of good. I mean, I think the Ray and Nora stuff was great. I mean, I loved all those scenes. They just, until they all got under the love potion, I don't know. It kept taking me like out of the episode. Like it just felt out of place to me. But
all right.
Well, we've definitely already talked about this. I'll just go ahead and re-say this and just really quickly, but the entire point of the episode is for Zari to let her guard down and then just surrender to true love. Come on. Total gag moment for me. Like, I know, I get it. I like the idea of her and Nate. I admitted it, but I just want a natural development, not a magical intervention. I want Zari to naturally break her own walls down and overcome it for the right reasons, not because she was hoodwinked by some stupid Hindu love god who was extremely good looking. Anyways, she did. I mean, come on. She did all of this like essentially on a dare. Zari is better than that. She is better than that.
This is what I was waiting for you to get to, because I hope I have a bit of a counter here, because I kind of answered some of this already. But I don't think it was totally about getting her with Nate. I think it was more about breaking down her walls and loosening her up some. She's very rigid and very stern. She needed to let go a little bit and realize that she's not in her future time anymore and can be a bit more free and open. They maybe didn't use the right words to express that, but I definitely didn't take it as just setting her up with Nate. I looked at it as more of a freeing episode for her, which made me enjoy it like we enjoyed her repeating that time loop episode. She's great on her own when the story centers around her, so I enjoyed that she got focus again, and it was just developing her character. She can now open up a little bit, and that's the way I took it.
I don't know. I did not like this development. I did not like the way they went about this at all. I know that was the point, that they were trying to get her to open up. But to me, they're trying to get her to open up so that because they say it at the very end of the Bollywood song that she's still going to surrender to love the next time it comes around. And so I don't know. I really did not like that they were purposely changing her character into kind of basically make her more open to love. That's what I took away from it. Well, I mean, you're right. They were definitely trying to get her to break her walls down and loosen up so that she, has the opportunity with Nate, which is basically what Mona said in the song.
I would agree with you a little bit more if by the end of the episode she went and jumped Nate or something like that. But again, nothing happened. There was still the same tension. There was still the same pushback from it. Yes, she did say at the end of the song, I'm going to be more open now or whatever, but she didn't say, I'm going after Nate. She didn't say, yes, I'm going to fall in love with Nate. She just agreed to be willing to let herself go a little bit, which should hopefully...
we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, but it should hopefully further the development of them hooking up, and hopefully, like we've been wanting, it'll still take the next couple episodes.
Yeah, I think they're using this as a fast forward button. That's my prediction right now.
But again, in defense of it, to me, it's happening in a way more natural way. It feels better with them than it did how they threw him and Amaya together. That just didn't work. That was all kinds of, this isn't real. Where this feels more of a natural transition of them realizing, wait a second, I'm attracted to that person, and maybe I feel something for them, because technically they've been on the Waverider together for who knows how long, a year and a half, 2 years already. So why wouldn't feelings start to develop?
And I feel like I would have been fine if they hadn't taken this journey this episode to purposely make her more open.
Boy, this is a stubborn Harley Quinn. Wow.
I am.
Go back to Joker.
Sticking
I'm done
to
with
it. Fine.
All right, let's get on to something that you do like. Yes,
all right. So, one of the shining moments of the episode was the actual Bollywood music number, despite what they were trying to do with it. I did really, really, really love this. I could watch that over and over and over again, just that part. I loved that whole sequence. I mean, Tala was gorgeous. Her voice is beautiful. And I already said this, they're releasing the song, so I'll find that link. Yes. And I was super surprised to hear Ramona singing. She was so great. The choreography was great. Like, I loved it. Everything was great.
Yeah, I'm with you. I did not expect to see Mona sing at all, and nor did I expect for her to have a voice like that, because her speaking voice, at least for the character, is very screechy. So I didn't think that kind of singing voice would come out of her. And even Sarah and who else was in the scene? They even though they were just backup vocals, you could hear them sing. Charlie, yeah. I was like, wow, even they're singing. And then, like I said, even Ray and Nora sang for a few bits. And I'm like, wow, listen to these guys. This is amazing. And yeah, I mean, this whole musical sequence was so fantastic all around. The singing, the dancing, the choreography. For me, even the way they wrote the plot of the episode into the lyrics of the music made it all flow like they're still trying to tell a story, just like a musical movie would do. It was beautiful, and yes, Kala looked amazing, as did everyone, like I said earlier. What a voice that she has. I already said Ray and Nora singing was fun. I've got that in my notes here, so I'm already repeating myself.
It's okay, I've repeated myself a lot.
I was so wanting and waiting to hear Mick jump in and belt out a note or two. Could you imagine that?
I don't picture Dominic as much of a singer. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I'm likening it to, if you ever watched the musical movie Mamma Mia, which I loved both part 1 and 2, the first time you heard Pierce Brosnan singing, he's got a scratchy voice that's not a great singer, but he still belted out songs. So I was hoping Mick would do that as well.
Yeah.
It would just been funny to hear his gruff voice.
Funny.
Like, oh man, I think I would have fell off the couch and not been able to catch your breath if he started singing.
I know. Well, it's too bad Matt Ryan couldn't join in.
Even that too, yeah.
Yeah. But
all right. Well, we got more of that coming later. So Hank's secret project, the end of the episode. Let's talk a little bit about that.
All right, end of the episode. Here are the highlights, and then we can kind of dig into it. Now, this is where, for me, it got very, very interesting, because Nate discovers the secret bunker hiding all of the Project H files.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, Project H is a tad bit on the nose. It could stand for several things. It could stand for Hank. It could stand for Hakewood. It could stand for Hate World. It could stand for Hell. Either way, I was like, okay, that's interesting. Just a little tidbit.
Yeah.
And then the amusement park, the whole zany, wacky idea. It's got to be a front for something. I definitely think Hank thought, for whatever reason, in a very odd turn for his character, that he was legitimately building an amusement park that his son envisioned when he was 9. But Neron for sure was not building an amusement park, or is not building an amusement park. Now, what those motives are, I don't exactly know. We can dig into that if you want. What did you feel about all of these little plot points here?
Well, here's the thing. 2 things. Something that just struck me as you were speaking. This is Legends. Of course, it's going to be something wacky and completely out of left field like that in the amusement park. Now, here's the other thing. That's the whole retcon of Hank's story that we've talked about. I don't think the amusement park has anything to do with Neron at all. The way the story, Nate's mom, and the video explain in the end is that Hank was upset that he never got Nate to Disneyland and felt he always failed as a father, which we saw when they were talking in the car a little bit, and wanted to make it up to him. And when we saw that he could get magical creatures, it reminded him of that picture Nate drew, and his plan came alive. Build the amusement park for Nate, and all will be amended. So, Neron steps in disguised as John's lover and offers him unlimited financial support to build the amusement park, in exchange for getting access to some of the magical creatures to use in his army for his plan. Well, after that, I think Hank just got in over his head and couldn't stop Neron or get out of this agreement until we see him finally wanting to after the scenes in the police car, and we know where that ended up. Neron ends up killing him. Yep. So to me, it seems pretty slapped on, this amusement park idea, just as Neuron is. That's what I mean by saying out of left field. It seems slapped on like we feel Neuron is slapped on, and I'm a bit disappointed that a theme park is the writer's creative choice to retcon Hank's story to write him out as a loving father and a good guy. But it makes sense to what we know. Neuron's funding allows him to pay for the amusement park, along with the land deeds that we saw him collecting. Plus, because the land deeds, obviously now we've pieced together, he's been collecting the land deeds, so he has the space to build the amusement park. That's where I think the connections is, right?
Yeah, I didn't put two and two together. You're right, I think.
He secured
that
the
makes
land,
sense.
right, to build the amusement park on. So you piece that together with Neuron giving the money. To me, it just all makes sense. That's the retcon they made for Hank. And it has nothing to do with Neuron. Neuron's got his own story. Now we've shut the chapter on Hank and his idea. We now realize what's going on. Now the rest of the season's going to be about Neuron. And we might deal with a little bit of Hank in regards to Nate, how he's going to handle everything, but it's going to be into researching why Hank was involved with Neuron, and that's going to lead to the Neuron storyline taking over. It is weird and wacky as it was in the amusement park. It suits Legends because of the wacky stuff they did, but I was okay with this because this was not even close to being on the scale of Bebo bad. It was weird,
I would agree with that.
But it wasn't bad because hopefully the way I just explained it, it makes sense.
Yeah, the way you explained it makes a lot more sense. I was not putting all of that together. So that helps a little bit. I agree with you. I'm still kind of like disappointed that I don't know. It just, for what we had seen of Hank, and then to have him kind of turn out to be this guy, and I get it. You can't be working at the Time Bureau and be some big boss guy and kind of let out your true personality. I kind of get stuff like that, but I don't know. You're right. It felt like a retcon because it was a retcon. So I don't know. It was creative. I'll give them that. It fits in with Legends, especially with Nate's little, you really were a legend, blah, blah, blah. This is insane. They at least admitted it.
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. This is insane. Yes. Yes, it is.
It just would have been nice if the writers could have come up with something a little bit more believable, I guess, but maybe that wouldn't be suitable to Legends if they made it something more serious, but I think it was the shock of seeing him in a Hawaiian shirt making a home video and being like this goofy late night salesman. That again, that's right out of left field. They're like, what? It just doesn't seem like the Hank they gave us all season long, and
because it's not, again.
Because it's not. So yeah. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they give us with Neuron moving forward. And I guess that's kind of what you got coming up next. Your next question is what is Neuron up to?
It is. Before we dive into that, because I think that'll let us theorize just a little bit, I did want to kind of point out Nate's comment, he has kind of the touching moments where he kind of has the closure where he's speaking to his dad's corpse, as morbid as that is. But he says it was your moonshot. And I thought that was really touching. And that was kind of a nice reference back to the episode in season 2, Moonshot, where he has to say goodbye to his grandfather.
Oh, that's what you're connecting that to, right?
Yeah,
okay.
That's what he meant.
Good pull, yeah. And that was a powerful scene. I remember that way back then. We were really sucked into that moment and tearing.
I think that one quote of the season as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for our serious quotes.
Serious, yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a good callback, a good connection going all the way around because it's family between the three of them. He's now lost 2 family members.
Yeah, and again, well layered. Good. That's the part of. The writers are great. There's no doubt about it. This episode just really didn't resonate with me. So, and I did not agree with some choices with Zari, but anyway.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, your last question. What is Neuron up to? Do you have more you want to add to that?
I know. I kind of just wrote the question and I was like, how do I even answer this? I don't really have any good theories of what Neuron is up to other than the little bits and pieces that we know. We know that, the borders, the boundaries of hell are loosening or whatever, because clearly that's, how he was able to get here, along with all of the magical fugitives that all escaped. And so, ultimately, we know his goal is essentially like to bring hell to earth, hence, project, another way to look at Project H. There's multiple ways you could look at that. And so I'm like, other than that, I just don't get the end game. To your point, I don't get the fear factor. I don't get why he's so terrifying, aside from the super creepy effect that they have going on. And I think I would like just a little bit more between him and Constantine, or just a little bit more of that backstory to be like, this is why we should be terrified of this guy. Because right now I'm kind of not, even though I guess I should be, because he just killed Hank. But I don't know. I just not quite. There's something missing. I'm not completely resonating there. Like you said, tacked on, slapped on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I can repeat your question. What is up with Neron? They haven't developed his story enough to even be worried about him at this point. Like you're saying, you can really tell it's been added on, tacked on. Whatever.
Wow, I didn't even read this. That's funny.
End. Yeah, and it's too bad, because they had so much potential with Hank. I just don't know what they're going to do. What's Neron's purpose? What's his end game? It can't just be malice all over again, or Mollis, however you want to pronounce it. And it certainly better not end with a save from Bebo again. Like we've said, we're going to quit the show if that happens. So be warned, Legendaries.
Yeah, you heard it here first. This is the final seasons of Legends. Bebo shows back up in the finale.
Yeah.
Or Tomorrow's Legends, sorry.
So all I can see is that Neron is the only reason to keep John around and to bring Nora into play after we saw her power. John needs something to do. There is not anything magical in our show other than what they brought in this year because of the creatures running loose and Neron. So this is the only reason to keep John around, is to be able to... he's going to be the one that has to fight him in the end, and I think Nora as well, because... You were right, by the way. I rewatched that scene. Nora does absorb the energy field, and that is freaky power right there. If she can do that, she's a lot stronger than we know. And it's going to come into play in the end here. Ray's going to get the team to trust her again. He's going to prove her innocence. She's going to come on board, and she's going to help the fight with Neron. So I'm hoping we get a cool... If it has to be Constantine, at least a cool scene with him and her working together to counter Neron somehow. What I don't understand about him is when he does actually turn into his actual self, he looks like that beehive face. I don't know what that is. It's creepy. It's weird looking. I don't understand. I don't know what the history is with him. If somebody out there knows anything about what he's supposed to be about, let us know, because I don't, and I haven't had a chance to really dig up anything about him.
Yeah, I feel like we talked a very, very little bit in our season 4 preview, but that's been so long ago at this point. Right. At this point, it's literally probably closer to a year than not that we did that. But yeah, I don't recall either. I know there's a little bit of him in the comics. It's not exactly the form that we're getting, but there's a little bit of a history. I would have to do some more digging to figure it out.
Well, let's move into something fun that I know you'll appreciate a lot more than some of the things in the episode. And that's our quote of the... Hey, you know what? We didn't... with all this anger, there should have been a
nitpick?
A nitpick in there somewhere. The whole episode was a nitpick for you, but...
Probably should have done nitpick whenever I started harping on the Zari stuff.
All right. Well, let's get into quote of the week, because you were harping quite a bit.
Shape out an eagle!
Let's get into fun stuff that I know you found here. You've got some wonderful Ray quotes here.
Yes.
But before we get to that, what was our winner from last week?
Our winner was Sir Get Alexa. Did I say that right?
We have eyes on the Legends and they have the president.
They've gone too far again. Siri, Alexa, Gideon, fire up the engine.
And how fitting that it's a Hank quote to win it for this week, eh?
That's true. Aw, R.I.P. Hank.
All right, what are you kicking it off with this week?
We're going to start with History Avengers.
This is gonna have to wait.
Did someone say history's in trouble? Legends assemble!
Short and sweet, but pretty funny.
Short and sweet. I could not let that one go by.
Ray just having fun. You know, with Ray this episode, he was not his annoying, goofy side. He was his fun Boy Scout goofy side. And that's
yeah, this is the version of Ray. Yeah, I agree. This is the version of Ray I love the most. Clearly, as we continue with another Ray quote, I'll be in my bunk.
Do you know where I pulled that from? Is that familiar?
No.
Come on, Firefly fans, I'll be in my bunk. That was.
Oh God, it's been a hot minute.
Okay, I know there's Firefly fans out there. That was when Jane saw. Well, it was Jane saying the line when he saw Nora inviting her new mistress, the mayor. I'm not sure what she was. The ambassador, who everyone thought was a guy, ended up being a woman. And when they all saw her taking a woman to her bedchambers, that's when Jane says, "I'll be in my bunk." So here it is.
Already had Gideon chart a course. Can I come on the mission, please?
Sure.
Yeah, and as much as I love a good wedding sneak, I'm gonna QB from my bedroom.
Is he acting weirder than normal?
Yeah. Is he acting weirder than normal? Loved it.
All right, and the last Ray quote.
I need to be careful how I say this because it could come out wrong, but it's Ray Palooza.
Ray Palooza. I didn't know if I spelled that right, but yes. Ray Palooza.
Gideon, where's that music coming from?
I took the liberty of broadcasting Mr. Mars's comms.
Huh. It's rather infectious.
Ray, this music, I think it's magical.
You're right. I want to express my feelings to you in verse.
Is that really necessary?
I had a dirty dream of you.
I'll bet mine was dirtier. Why didn't you go and make a move?
I would have if you'd been 30er. Okay, it's just complicated. If they knew, he'd be enraged.
I know, and I'm sorry, but my desire's been uncaged. Don't let this moment pass us by. It could be our only chance.
You're right. I need you now. Sorry, Nate and Captain Lance.
I loved that. The whole thing.
My cheeks are hurting again. This is fun. I love it.
It was so funny. I forgot she referenced the title of Mick's book.
Perfect. They have got to be having so much fun doing this together.
Oh my gosh. I know.
Wow. I would love to meet them in person and ask them exactly what that's like for them.
Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe at one of the cons coming up here, you'll get a chance to do that.
Maybe, yeah. All right.
Oh, man. Are you ready for your serious scenes?
I am. Last week's winner, did you want to ask who won?
I was, but I thought you were just going to say it anyway.
Who
won last week?
DJ Z in the house.
It was with the radio.
The heat's heavy on the highway tonight, and that's no weather report. But lucky for you, you're not alone, because you've got DJ Z to guide you past those bad vibes.
DJ Z? That sounds like Zari.
Right now, the beat on the street is to lay low. But while you park it, here's a hit to keep you safe.
How fitting as well. This is a Zari-centered episode, and she wins the quote.
That's true. That's true. That was a good one. I liked her radio personality as well. That was pretty good.
It is good. Really tipping my hat to Tala Ash here with her singing and her sultry voice for the DJ. She can really bring a lot of different personalities.
Oh, yeah, totally. Cool. Well, where are we going to go with our first quote this week? Or first scene, sorry. Scene.
Yeah, scene. Yeah, this first series scene is called Romance Lives.
Oh, Nate, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay, Ray.
No, it's not. Keep giving Nora second chances, then she goes and does this.
If you thought Nora could change, and I never thought my dad would be torturing magical creatures, so I guess we're both wrong.
Can't believe you're the one comforting me.
Come on, I love you, bro. It's never gonna change.
Love you too.
No.
I had to have that in there because we have been wanting them to get back together and have the fun brotherhood that they had in the beginning.
I know, I'm telling you. Funeral scenes.
Yeah. So it was a really nice moment.
That was a nice moment. All right, where are we going to go next? What's number 2?
Next is Whatever Mick Says.
Hey, man.
What's up, Rudy?
This whole toast thing is eating me up on the inside. Right? My dad was such a dick. He lied about everything, and now he's turning me into a liar, too.
Listen, your old man's gone. Whatever you say out there, that's for you.
You know what, Mick? I think you're onto something.
What's a scene without some Mick wisdom, as always?
I know. And I love how it comes back in the end, too.
Yeah.
He's like, well...
No, it's good stuff. I know Mick wasn't huge in this episode, but his little bit parts, he was fine. I'm sure they'll have an episode with him a little more involved coming up. But
yeah, we usually do. I mean, it's a big cast. I like it better when they kind of rotate them around and kind of have a couple different characters that they focus on.
Yeah,
I felt like they tried to shoehorn a little too much in on this particular one, but.
All right. Well, my last serious scene, I don't know how serious it is, but it's what we all raved about, at least you and me anyway. I'll have to see what our feedbackers say, but I had to include the musical number because the song is so great, and you're going to find the link for us. I am. Good. I spliced together a couple scenes because your quote actually comes right in the middle of this one. So I took that out and spliced it in, and I'm calling this one, I was trying to think of Hollywood, Bollywood, Leggywood. That's as good as I could get based on legends. I didn't want to say legendary wood because that's, well, I mean, this episode was pretty steamy, so, you know. So here's Leggywood.
Do you hear that?
No, hear what?
It's definitely music playing.
Kamadeva loved music. Perhaps you should sing.
I don't sing.
Every day I find a way to shove my past and anger down.
Go on, my love. That was beautiful.
My humor's dry, I never cry. If I start, I'd surely drown. When I'm on my own, I can't help wanting something more. Today, instead of closing off, I'm opening a door.
Tossing sense aside and I surrender to the fantasy and pleasure. I surrender
to my happy ever after. I won't fight it, won't deny it. Do you have a ring? I'll try it.
I surrender.
In the morning, we should go ask the parson to marry us.
A Christian wedding for a Muslim woman and a Hindu man.
Let's not think with our heads, but feel with our hearts.
Fixed the timeline as a cat, saved a cowboy, kept his hat, took Salem's breath away, got stuck reliving the same day. Through it all, I kept my cool. Never thought I'd play the fool. Now I've surrendered to you. It's time for me to say I do.
I do? What are you talking about? We need to find Mona. Wait a sec. Is this a Bollywood musical number?
Bet your ass it is.
is my bride. Please make my wish come true.
These feelings can't be denied, so yes, I say I do.
You're making a mistake!
Zari.
Whoa, why did I just sing that? Okay, I guess I'm just gonna roll with the whole singing thing.
Every day we find a way to hold grief and not let them see. We feel so wrong, we often long get swept away in fantasy. You've been so brave, wise, and strong by opening your door. Please, Zari, have courage now to wait for something more.
Don't listen to her, my love.
No, Mona's right. See, you don't even know this guy. He's been using the powers of a love god for years. Guaranteed he's got a wife.
Is that true? Not exactly. I have 1,000 wives. But lucky number 1001 is the most important.
Seriously?
So, you still want to marry me?
No, I definitely do not.
Now I've got my senses back, but I'll surrender. Life's not done, I'll love again. I'll surrender. With my friends now by my side, I won't hide it, won't deny it. If real love comes my way, I'll try it. I'll surrender.
Yay!
Yay! But that's what I'm talking about. I'll surrender. Come on.
Surrender to opening up a little bit, not surrendering
Surrender
to Nate.
to love. Surrender to love. That was literally the whole point.
And that's fine. That means she's willing to fall in love or be open to love because she wasn't.
Magical intervention. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I love that song. I love the song. I will find the link and post it.
I hope you guys enjoyed that and you weren't complaining that I played the whole clip because if you could only see me and Harley here behind the scenes, we are dancing. I am singing the words. We were having fun with that one.
For sure. Y'all are lucky that our opening skit wasn't a song.
I proposed, do you want to sing a song to begin with? And Harley was like, no.
The only thing worse than my awkward voice acting is my awkward singing. Because I can't sing.
Me neither. If I sing, the glass cracks around me, so.
Pretty much.
All right, well, let's get into some feedback and see what our fans thought of this episode, because I'm actually curious. Compared to, like you mentioned, the Flash musical number, fans were split, so I'm wondering how our fans are on this one.
Me too.
It's time for feedback.
Feedback.
Holy Twin Powers, activate!
That is the extent of our singing for you.
Right? We can't screw that up too bad.
All right. So we got a kind of a note here from Sci-Fi Gene, and this is what he says. I have two theories about why Nora didn't speak up. When Nate discovered her hovering over Hank's body, one is a plot theory, the other is a production theory. Plot theory. Neuron's unusual power temporarily affected parts of her brain's speech center. Production theory. Courtney Ford, who plays Nora, wanted a plot excuse to hide in Ray's room.
That's funny.
Yes. I mean, plausible, sure. I see that you're kind of picking at it, trying to think of possible other ways why she wouldn't have said anything, but yeah, funny.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up, we got an email from our green butterfly. What'd she have to say?
She says, "Hi, this is your eye in the sky, the green butterfly. This episode was a bit mixed for me. It danced around some issues, quite literally. It was a good follow-up to Mona losing faith in happy endings that she would have the opportunity to help one of her favorite authors. When Constantine said Hank's soul was near, I thought perhaps he might be able to restore Hank's soul and reverse what Neuron had done. Me too, Justina. Me too. But no. Sorry. So this episode had some good character moments, absolutely fabulously fun musical moments, but I am so anxious to get more info on Neuron game plan. Yeah. Mm-hmm. and so anxious for Ava and Sarah to work on their relationship. I had to deduct points for her complete absence from the episode, landing on a score of 8 of 10. Lovely dreams. Sorry, there was a lot of emojis in there, and I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be reading the emojis. Yes, and that was very funny. Okay, she continues. I can't lie, though I always enjoy watching Katie dance. I really enjoyed the story Sarah had in Arrow more this week, which I have not watched. Great character moments with Katie Cassidy and others, great fight scenes, and even salmon ladders. Sounds exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious what you think of the all-girl Arrow episode.
Yeah, I've not watched that. I'm still a couple behind, folks. So just FYI, when you're writing in feedback, if you wouldn't mind avoiding Arrow spoilers, that would be great. Justina, these are not spoilers, so thank you for that. She continues, I just feel she had much more to do in Star City this week than here on Legends, but it is an ensemble show, so I understand that my favorite captain cannot take center stage every week. No specifics, because I don't want Flash to run away from this feedback, but the trailer for next week looks like I will get more of what I am looking for. Until then, I will be your eye in the sky. Have a super week. Love, Green Butterfly.
Yeah, I mean, she sent us feedback on Arrow. I understand that, I mean, they gave Sarah quite a bit to do on Arrow, and that's fine. But this, like Harley was saying just a few moments ago, with our show, they seem to rotate through the characters and allow every character to shine in the spotlight a little bit. So this week was Zari and a little bit about Hank and Nate. So that was the duo that got the screen time, which is good. And I like that we get to develop our characters that way, and it's not always focused on just one. I kind of thought, I'm a little bit surprised, Justina. I thought you were going to blow this one out of the water and be like raving about it, giving like 100 out of 10 score because of the musical, because of the romance and all the love. I thought that's the kind of stuff you just fall gaga over, but
yeah.
So, but I'm with her. She agrees with us. What is Neron's plan? What's going on there? They've given us nothing to go on. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you as always. Next up is a voicemail from Jeff X-Force11.
Hello, Legends. This is Jeff X-Force11. I didn't really care for this episode at all. I thought the musical number was kind of fun. Kind of a harken back to the show that started it all, Buffy Once More with Feeling. But overall, I thought the writing was all over the place. I didn't particularly care for the storyline and the kind of the thinking, the writing behind it. I just felt like it was really inconsistent and all over the place. So I don't know what to think. I rated it maybe a 4, maybe being generous a 5. All right, X-Force11 out.
Ouch.
Is Flash being hung out to dry on this episode? Nobody's with me on it?
Justina was closer. She gave you an 8.
Yeah. True, but ouch. That's twice now Jeff's really called in I don't know if it was this season or last season he gave us a really poor rating on one episode, remember?
Oh, yeah, I do. I think he gave that one a 4, too. Or maybe he gave it a 2. Or did you give one a 2? Someone gave one a 2. And it was like the lowest we've ever had. It may have been Jeff. But I'm not going to lie. I was kind of anticipating his feedback because we were both on the Facebook. Mm-hmm. And we were both saying some very, very similar things.
You guys are just not hopeless romantics. I get it.
I don't know. Jeff and I, we tend to be two peas in a pod. Generally, when I hear his feedbacks, I'm like, yes, thank you. You are speaking for me.
So is X-Force11 like another Joker thing? Is he like the 11th try at a right-hand man for Joker or something? You know?
I don't know. I'm sure we could force a connection, although I'm pretty sure one is Marvel and one is DC. But anyway, I digress.
All right. Well, I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it, Jeff. Hopefully there's better things to come for you. Next up is an email from Carrie Johnson, and I'm sensing a theme here. I must say, he says, I can only give this episode 6 lustful dream sequences out of 10. Essentially, the lesson from this episode is that we should never lose our capacity to love. It is a fine lesson. However, I think Legends handled the concept of love much better earlier in the season when Constantine's love for Desmond and that fantastic kiss showed that love can be painful and joyful, and in the context of the show, set the world right again.
Yes.
In this episode, the concept of love was much more narrow in that it only applied to Zari, who had dismissed the possibility that she'd fall in love again. Certainly, it marks growth for a character, but that should have been the B story or C story. All in all, it appeared only to be an excuse for the Bollywood song and dance scene. Yes, I can see where you're coming from, but I think it's more connected to the point that we both brought up, that Zari's future doesn't allow love. Love is used against them. I don't think it's just her focus. It's the state of society from her timeline.
Yeah,
I think
I would
that's
agree
what
with
she's
that.
struggling with, yeah. But anyway, he continues. I was more moved by Nate's story. When Nate's mom relayed the canceled Disney World trip and how Hank came to the rescue of little Nate by dressing as Mickey Mouse at the hospital, I legit cried. That 1 minute and 5 seconds of monologue captured Hank and Nate's entire relationship. Nate, a fatherless father who had great intentions for his own son, but fell short. A son, Nate, who despised him for it. But when the relationship was at its best, a father coming through to bring his son happiness at a hospital is magical.
Yes.
Yeah, good recap of what that all meant. So yeah, really, really well said there, Carrie. He goes on. I was also more invested in Connie's story and the Neron revelation. Constantine. Okay, he always nicknames everybody. I have to think for a second. Connie is scared, and in a scene that lasted just over a minute, Neron laid Connie bare, revealing his insecurities and vulnerabilities, particularly his guilt at not being able to save the ones he's loved and lost before, and how that fear appears to be paralyzing his actions now. As someone who didn't watch the Constantine show and is not familiar with the character in his previous story, having that bit of background provides more weight to the battle he has before him. I know Legends battled a demon last year, but Neron is not just a demon battle for our Legends. It's personal for Constantine, since he has Desmond's face, and since we learned from the last episode that Connie doesn't believe his fellow Legends can help him win this battle. It could and should provide a more dramatic and traumatic confrontation for our heroes. No frickin' Bebo can save the day here.
God, I hope not.
Okay. A little bit to unpack there with his talk about Constantine. Now, it's funny that with Constantine having to deal with love and people he's lost and stuff, they didn't really dive into that much on his show, did they?
No, they didn't. I mean, I still haven't finished, but
well, you're
no,
right at
they
the end, though,
did.
so.
Yeah, no, they definitely didn't. That's not, at least not in that season that they got. That was for sure not the focus.
Right.
Speaking of people who are closed off for reasons, yeah, he's one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, so the fact that they're bringing a lot of this in is kind of tied in with Legends, and I think, like I was saying earlier, I think this is how they're trying to work Constantine into the show to be part of the show, is that they're giving a demon storyline for him to deal with and trying to make it personal for him. So that's how he fits into the show. Without the storyline, he's really got nothing to do.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing, is they're having to change his character a little bit and not exactly create a history, but Desmond is new and unique to Legends. He was not part of the original series at all, and neither was Neron, was he? Okay, that's what I thought. So, yeah, I mean, so they're trying to give him insight into his history without having to embrace the, like, legit horror feel that his show actually has. So
right,
that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, you can listen to Harley's short takes on the entire Constantine season, maybe get a bit of a feel of what he was about. But
yeah, that's true. I did release those all as bonuses. I mean, it's filled with spoilers, but
yeah. But if you're not going to watch Constantine, they're only 10 minutes. So yeah. All right, so he continues. So while the Zari story with the Kama Sutra guy was fun, I mean, who doesn't like seeing our attractive heroes and heroines living out fantastical, lust-filled dreams? Ultimately, it told a story about love that the show has done better. Yes and no. Yes and no. I'm with you and I'm not with you. I enjoyed it.
I'm with him.
Some stray observations. The Weir Mona at first glance was fine, but as we see more of her version of the Cope, it just looks more and more weird and not in a good way.
I agree.
Yeah. It's just the way whatever actor is playing the part underneath all that makeup and muscle suit, it's just the way she keeps swaying back and forth and just trying to look animalistic, but not really paying
It's not
off.
getting there. Yeah, I agree.
He goes on. I know the show decided midstream that it did not want to make Hank the season's big bad because the actor is so darn lovable, but seeing that video of Hank in a Hawaiian shirt and talking about a theme park for magical creatures was just plain weird. Was Hank on drugs weird? I was hoping there would have been a more sinister motivation for his actions to get money and Dwarf Star tech, but it seems like he was just pouring it into his efforts to build a theme park. On a side note, I would have loved to see Hayworld go haywire, just like Jurassic World.
It might still.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what he's been doing, if there's part of the park is built already. I don't know. What's the possibility?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Is this an Arrow spoiler?
Let's see. Okay, it doesn't look like... Okay, I will cut this little pause out. He goes on with a little bit about Arrow. Just plug ears maybe for a sec here, Harley. I'll see what he says. He says, I did catch Sarah's appearance on Arrow, and in a limited stint there, she did more fighting and dropped more Captain Lance wisdom there than she has basically this entire season. I do hope Legends writers remembers she's a frickin' assassin and let her fight. Also, this is a superhero fantasy show. When was the last time we've seen Nate steel up, or Ray the Atom suit, or Sarah in her white canary gear, or Mick with his heat gun, or Zari using her totem? I suspected budget has a lot to do with it, but it's time for our heroes to be heroic. Carrie, you are singing my words of last episode. Yes, I am with you full 100% on that point. And your points about Sarah on Arrow, yes, you're right. They need to bring her back into more action here, and like some of the really good fight sequences we used to have in previous episodes with our team.
Yes, I agree. More superpowers. It is a superhero show, and if we're not going to get any throughout the whole season, then our entire finale better be CG.
Yes, and no Bebo.
Yes, no Bebo. Oh, God.
All right, his last words. Anyway, I know it may sound like I'm down on this episode, and I am a bit. I still love it, warts and all. By the way, next week I'm really excited about seeing Connie and Nora working together. I wish it was the A story. Anyway, until next time, Legendaires. Fantastic email again, Carrie. You piece it together very well with some very thought out things to really bring to the show here, so we appreciate that.
Yes. Great email, as always. Thank you.
Let's round this out with our last voicemail from Patty Spivot. See if she's positive like I think she is.
Hey, Flash and Harley, it's Patty Spivot calling in. So can we all just take a moment to be sad that Hank is gone? I was really enjoying him as part of the show, and I really expected him to just continue on as a character, and I'm kind of bummed. I was really surprised that they killed it. They really killed him. I thought somebody would bring him back to life, but it looks like he's gone, and he turned out to be a good guy with good intentions. So that was just all unexpected for me. I was pretty bummed. I gotta say, this episode, just on that note, I finally had moments where I actually cared what was going on this season. The last bunch have been just kind of, oh yeah, that's zany, and oh, whatever, haha. And I wasn't really invested, but this episode I actually laughed, I enjoyed it, I was smiling, I was sad, I was stressed out, there was a range of emotions. I was actually in it, and I'm really happy that they finally had a compelling episode, because they've just been sort of all over the map for me all season, and this one was a real winner for me. I really enjoyed it. It was great to see every character highlighted. I loved what they did with Zari, and they let her and Mona show some of their other talents. I thought Zari looked incredible in the costumes. She was just magical, like a superstar. I thought that was just really, really well done. I liked that they had two storylines, well, a couple of storylines going, but really two sort of 180 degrees from each other. Was the funeral sad storyline was on one side of the spectrum, and then all the way over to the other side of the spectrum with the sparkly, glittery, super fun, dancing, singing, love storyline. So that was kind of fun to have such a swing back and forth. The only thing, honestly, that was really missing for me, I was really hoping that Mick would just come busting in from stage left, dressed all up in costume, and burst into song. That was really the only thing that would have put it over the top for me. So going forward, I'm glad they're bringing it back around to Nora and Desmond and Constantine, and I'm curious to see what is going to happen with all of that. I actually expected something to jump out of one of the covered mirrors in the house all episode. I was hiding under my blanket waiting for something, but we didn't see it till the end, and it looks like maybe next episode we're going to have some big scary stuff happen. So looking forward to it, and looking forward to the podcast, and we'll talk to you guys later.
And that is why Flash and Patty Spivot are a better match than Flash and Iris ever were.
Touche. That's so funny. You guys have like almost the same thoughts.
And I'm telling you, we do not talk about our reviews of the show afterward. We just both look at each other like that was good or that was bad, and that's it. I have no idea what she's coming up with, and I love that she swung from both sides of her feelings, that the real sad stuff she connected with, and the fun, loving, romantic singing, dancing she had a ball with. And I mean, we were looking at each other with ear-to-ear grins and just laughing and giggling the whole way through. So I knew that much was coming, but I like that she connected this episode, because she has been kind of feeling aloof, or like the show's been a bit aloof and nothing to really grab onto, nothing really serious this season to really pull at our heartstrings to care about our characters this season. So I like that this one did that for her. Whether you agree with her reasons why or not doesn't matter. The fact that it did, I'm glad. And hey, I'm not alone. Finally, our very last feedbacker. I'm not alone in loving this episode.
You are not alone. I don't think you're alone. I saw a brief clip of a review online that said best episode ever, and I was like, okay.
Well, that is it for that, guys. Thank you for all your fantastic feedback. If you want to do what those fine people just did, this is how you do that.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to tomorrowslegends@gmail.com. That's spelled with one R. You can also reach us on Twitter @tomorrowslegends, also with one R. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/tomorrowslegends and become part of the community.
And that wraps us up for this musical number this week, Harley.
Oh, it does. Oh, man. That was a very interesting conversation, and a very long conversation at that. Sorry, guys.
That seems to be the thing this week, because Aero Squad also went on to an hour and a half, so I don't know. It's fun.
Oh.
I don't mind. The listeners don't
I was
mind.
very ranty, so maybe there's...
That's what it is. It's all your fault.
It's all your fault.
All right. Well, what do we have coming up next week?
Next week, the episode is called The Eggplant, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
What the heck could that mean?
I don't know. Séance and Sensibility was all about Jane Austen, so here's to hoping it's Chronicles of Narnia. I don't know. That's all I got.
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
Or it could be not related to that at all.
It'd be cool if it had a mythical, medieval type of feeling to it. I would love that.
It would be cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, Legendaires, I hope this finds you well. You guys have a good long weekend. Is it not Easter weekend this weekend?
It is.
It is. All right. Well, for those that celebrate it, happy Easter. Have a good long weekend, guys. This is The Flash signing off.
And this is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.
Harley, why are you sitting on my lap?
And why is your hand on my knee?
Oh, let's get to the show. Are you there?
Yes, I am dying.
That was totally... I had no idea that my plug fell out. I didn't hear any of that. I was going by your visual cues.
I was like, I thought you were a little like slow on the response, and I didn't catch that the thing had fallen out.
Neither did I, till I couldn't hear you anymore. When I said, "Why are you sitting on my lap?" I couldn't hear you at all, so I'm just watching you going, "Okay, when's she done? When's she done?"
Oh goodness.